Going to the Wilton Community School Board meeting Monday, April 9th, 5:30 p.m. The mission of the Wilton Community School District is to provide an education that encourages continual progress through the improvement of one's abilities, expansion of one's interests and knowledge, and the growth of one's character. Call to order, please. Roll call. Joey.
Linda Duncan.
Here.
Tony Hurd.
Here.
Rob Minster.
Here.
Gary Mallon. Karen Wine.
Here. All right. Any additions, corrections, changes, Mr. Burnett, to the agenda?
A couple things Joey and I talked about. Nope. No additions or corrections.
All right.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Let's go to the minutes approval. We'll do the regular meeting March 12th first.
Move to approve the March 12th board meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The special meeting on March 26th.
Motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting on March 26th.
A second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. On lastly to the March 26th joint meeting with City Council.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the joint meeting, March 26th joint meeting with the city council.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to public forum.
Yes, I have Vic, Amoroso? Amoroso. Very good. He's with A&J Associates, and we hired him to do the architectural work and mechanical, electrical drawing, et cetera, for our boiler system. And recently, the bids were turned in, and he went through the bids and is going to go over what the final process looks like and what his recommendation will be to the board in terms of purchasing the particular company, and also answer any questions. He's worked closely with Joe and Bo and us here at school, so he's done a really good job. So Vic, I don't know if you want to, the board to...
I think probably the first order of business, just to keep it legal, is to describe the project.
Absolutely, you go with it.
Describe the project, and then if you accept it, then we can talk about the bids we received. So you'd have to do one before the other. We were engaged to design a boiler replacement in high school. I don't know if you've been down to look at that room, but it's, I call those steam locomotive boilers. They're 50, 60 years old. Pretty close to the end of their useful life, or if they're not already there. So this project was designed to replace those with more up-to-date and efficient boilers, boilers that take less space. Yeah, and we also did some modifications to the domestic water heating system. So it's just going to clean up that boiler room, remove a bunch of piping that just kind of runs everywhere, and it's hard to trace, and we have trouble maintaining it. So that's the project in essence. It's a boiler replacement project. Pretty simple from a design standpoint. Not much architecture involved, a little bit of electrical, a lot of mechanical and plumbing. Anybody have any questions about the project? If they approve the project and design, I guess that'd be the next.
Yeah, well, we don't have a bid to approve the project design.
No, just prove the project design is presented, and then.
Oh, absolutely, no.
That's what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Do you have anything else to say? You're good, Vic? Okay, that's
Well,
done there.
then, yeah,
do you wanna go to the?
I wanna go to the bids part because the board will approve a vendor,
Okay,
under our individual, action items later in the board meeting.
okay,
And during the public forum, it's an opportunity for you to go over that, and then, once we get there,
okay.
make your recommendation, then they'll,
All right, on April 2nd, 2018, the school district received 4 bids on the boiler upgrade project. And I've got a bid tab that we can go over. 4 bidders were the Crawford Company, S&S Plumbing and Heating, Northwest Mechanical, and Hometown Plumbing and Heating. The Crawford Company submitted the lowest bid for the base bid work and for the control system alternate. Crawford was low no matter how we made comparisons. Their combined bid for base bid and alternate was $437, or $437,012. Northwest Mechanical submitted 5 exceptions and/or clarifications. I mentioned that because we're always supposed to do that. You take a look at what, if somebody's taken exceptions to it, you can decide to waive those or not. The other 3 bidders took no exceptions or clarifications. They had clean bids, what I would call clean bids. S&S submitted a bid bond for the base bid and the alternate amounts. The other 3 bidders just submitted bid bond covering only their respective base bid amount. And I mention that because there's a difference. I spoke with Scott Stubblefield of Crawford about his bid. He's comfortable with with his bid, and he understood everything that we're supposed to do or what the document said. He's also very comfortable with the specified completion date and when he'd be allowed to start the project. He said he would use Northwest Automation, which was a stipulation in the project for controls that matches what you have in some recently completed projects, and that's where you want to go. We did specify controls as an alternate. You may wonder why we did that. This was a sole source for controls. I like to split that out so you folks know what you're paying for sole sourcing something. The alternate for the controls was not much over what we thought controls would cost regularly, so you didn't pay a premium, in our opinion, for doing sole source. We got very good bids. Crawford's bid was below the next lowest bid by $5,729 or 1.3%. And the 4 combined bids were submitted ranging from $437 and $12 to $474,962. That spread between the low and high bid was $37,950 or 8.6%. That's very good. That's very good for 4 bids. We usually have a spread of 20%. That indicates to us that they understood what was required in the project. They weren't afraid of the schedule. But it did have some challenges. This bid, the low bid, is higher than we expected it to be, but we based our estimate on a different type of boiler. This is a more robust, I'll call it a high mass boiler, and they cost more than the low mass boilers. We do recommend using the high mass boilers because they're more robust and will have a longer service life. They cost a little more, so generally what we see, people don't like to go that route. They like to go to I call more of a throwaway boiler. These are boilers that will last 40 years for you. So I recommend that you award a contract to Crawford Company in the amount of $437,012 for the boiler replacement and system controls, as specified, if the funds are available. Anybody have any questions about that?
Joe, you want to give a little background on, I know that maybe the board may or may not remember, I know you talked to the maintenance committee, but about the boiler conversations and why we're recommending the higher mass boiler?
Well, originally we had looked at, because they had recommended some, well, I see word throwaway boilers, which are not really throwaway boilers, but they don't have as big tubes in them. And the tubes and the boilers that we looked at, that we told Vic we would like to have a better boiler, which is gonna cost us more money, but in the long run, you're going to take a boiler, more inexpensive boilers, in 10 to 15, 20 years, you're gonna be replacing them. These will go for twice or more. They have bigger tubes in them, they're heavier built. They're also real easy to work with. If you remember downstairs, if you got, when you look at the big boiler, you have the piece that sticks out, that's where all the gas and all that kind of stuff goes in. Well, that's separate, and these new ones will be the same way. Anybody can work on them, you can get parts from anywhere. You're not stuck with a boiler that says, nope, you have to get our part, you can't use somebody else's, we'll only sell it to this person, that type of thing. And that's why we were looking, and I look at it, I'm guessing that you guys want me to be looking ahead for the school, that's why I looked, and Bo also, we both looked at these. And I also talked to a man that deals with our boilers all the times when they have to retube them and so on, and he gave me different options that he looked at, and that's where we kinda went, the school wants something that's gonna last a long time, and it's gonna get the most bang for a buck, and that's where we went. So, there are certain things, yeah, you can go cheaper on, and it'll be fine, cause it doesn't get used as much. The boiler gets used all winter long, and we don't want one that's breaking down.
No.
And the one that we have in there now, the main one, is actually 59 years old. Put in 1959, the other one was put in, I'm guessing somewhere in the 70s. So they've gotten their life. I mean, the one that we have in there, the biggest one, started off with coal. So it was a coal fire burner, and then they converted it over the years. So it should give us, these aren't quite as efficient, but they're still somewhere around.
Well, they're
85.
they're highly efficient for non-condensing boilers to get the real, and that's one of the reasons these, I call them throwaway boilers, he's right, they're not. But the reason that the higher efficiency boilers, they're condensing, and you have condensing water coming out of them, you have to be real careful, because they tend to be susceptible to corrosion, the acid and stack. They want that cool, to take all the heat they can out of that. So that's why they have a shorter life, because they have to use a lot more electronics, and they have to deal with that condensation, but you don't have to on these boilers that we designed around. We've got bids on.
Bo, do you wanna talk about the controller system?
Yeah, I do, just a little. So we did sole source it to match with what we have in the elementary, match our existing contractor who knows what we expect and our expectations. So come August, when this is wrapping up and school's getting ready to start, I'll be able to walk away from it and know confidently that it's gonna get done right.
Good.
And the other part of it, the controls did come in a little higher than expected. We also bought some extra capacity for future upgrades in this additions. So the controller isn't just gonna be for the boiler, it's gonna be for the 94 and the original high school edition as we move forward, future phases.
And we have enough boiler capacity also, so we were looking at maybe adding on the building at the end of the gym and that type of stuff. There'll be enough capacity to run this, and with the controls, there'll be enough capacity too to add to that, so.
We really, I'm trying to toot anyone's horn here, but I really think the team did a good job of looking at current needs, future needs, long-term durability, and also controller, having everything synced up. You know, I mean, we have an opportunity to do this, like they said, 1959 is the original boiler. I want someone to look back 30 or 40 years from now and say, boy, they made a good decision on this. And so I really feel like there was a lot of thought put into this.
And I did talk to our current mechanical contractor about these new boilers, and they're like, oh, I can just run here and get parts, no big deal, which was another good thing to hear. You know, no big deal, that's a standard part, that's a standard part. So that really was comforting to hear, if you will.
And as we've been finding with some of the stuff that's been going wrong on our units up on the roof of our new school, that we're kinda, no, we can't get it from just anywhere, you have to get it from here or there.
Yeah, we
That can get in, well, it's 4 weeks away.
It was 4 weeks to get one of those units on the roof placed, unfortunately. It was probably 30 or 40 phone calls of, nope, you gotta call this person, nope, you gotta call this person, no, you gotta call this person. I don't want that. I wanna go here, part, boom, back in service.
Correct.
So we pay a little more upfront, but the long game is what we gotta look at, in my opinion. Are there any other questions for Vic? I think he's done a great job, and I appreciate his expertise. He's been excellent to work with. Well, you certainly can stick around,
Well,
otherwise.
I would, because just a little aside, I told Scott Stubblefield, he's on call after you vote on it and approve it or not approve it, whatever you do, I told him I'd call him. Because he's already got a draft of the contract that he's gonna send me.
Okay.
He's gonna take off on a week's vacation, so he wanted to get that
Oh,
done
okay.
before he left. And he's already been he's been to the site, this week,
He
and
just came today,
He
guys
just
came
came
today and took
checking,
numbers.
model numbers, because one of the things you have to do in this project is you have to notify the Iowa Department of Labor Boiler Inspection Department of the existing boilers that you're taking out and the new boilers you're putting in. They're real fussy about that, so he was just getting that paperwork started, so.
Well, the one key for him is to make sure he knows that he cannot complete this project until July 1st. Even if that means he has to work on the 1st, it cannot be
Yes,
completed
no,
before.
well, I don't think that'll be a problem with the delivery, I think, no, that'll be okay. The other thing too, he's ready to issue purchase orders if he has the okay. Now, he and I have to go through some paperwork for you, notice of award, get the contract, have you come back and you'll take a look at the contract. It's a standard AIA construction contract. But he's gonna start working with us so as to get shop drawings going, so he won't miss a lick. When you're ready to turn it off, get your things going, he'll be ready to start tearing it apart.
Okay. Well, stay in contact with us, and as
Yes.
any paperwork things come up, we have a board meeting, our next board meeting's in May. We have a work session later this month, we need to have a special meeting to approve certain things to keep this moving forward if we can.
Okay. Well, if it stops snowing long enough, maybe Joe can turn off the boilers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very nice.
Should we reorder the agenda and do that individual action item then now? Instead of making them wait around and
It doesn't matter. The other thing too, Vic, is, I mean, feel free to stay, not that it's not exciting and you'll learn a lot, but you can always have Joe call you too if you wanted to, as soon as it was.
Well, I just said, I just promised him if it's.
Oh, that's fine. I don't have an issue of moving it, but that's kind of a, I don't know.
Well, since, I mean, because it's kind of at the end.
Right, it's an individual action item,
Right.
Yeah.
so it's up to
Do
you.
it.
It's not like it's under the consent agenda where everything's gotta go. If
No.
you're fine with that,
Yeah, because then we can look at the boiler bids and decide.
we could do
What do you think?
Fine.
Don't you
Sure.
think that would,
Yep.
yeah. All right, so,
so we're gonna wait, or do you wanna go?
when do you want to do it right now? Do you want to,
Sure.
You want free
Wait.
pickup?
You're the boss.
Yeah. Sure.
I would like input, yes,
Yes,
we can do
yes,
it right
let's
now.
do it right
All right,
now.
let's do it right now.
Okay, so go to individual action item,
Which should be.
number one,
Yep.
for individual consent, boiler bids. And as presented, I have this written down, and I'm just being redundant here, but, Vic's recommendation is the Crawford Company at $437,012. The second lowest bid was $442,741. I don't know the name of the company, it's irrelevant, but the recommendation from him is the Crawford Company at $437,12.
Alright, so move to approve the boiler bid from Crawford Company for value of $437,012.
I second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All righty, it
Vic,
is,
you just got an hour of your life
it
back.
is official, it is official.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
All right,
I'll get stuff over to us, we'll start the paperwork, moving back and forth,
Okay,
just keep it going.
let us know what you
Appreciate
need.
Thank you.
perfect, thank you.
Good working with you.
All right,
Bo Huber's up
Then
next.
Bo.
Bo met with Joy,
oh,
Linda,
Yes.
and myself, and we had a conference call with a representative from Board Docs. And make a long story short, and I encourage us, we always look at ways to improve efficiency or whatnot, and at the end of the day, we have to decide efficiency and cost, because nothing's free. And he's going to do a presentation of, I don't know, recap of what the presentation was to us about Board Docs, which is basically a software that puts together board agendas and whatnot, and see if we have an interest of looking any further. Did I give a good preview of that, Bo?
Yep. So actually, I'm just gonna show you a live site. I came from Bettendorf Schools. We use board docs up there. The board loved it. The only time I ever heard a complaint about it is when the shortcut wasn't available on the desktop. The one thing I've heard is this process you all have in front of you might be a little clunky at times, and board docs would help simplify that. So let me hop over to a live site and just kind of show you how board docs works. They recommended I use Central DeWitt due to the fact that I have board policy. I'm going to try and not be rude here, but I'm going to have to step off the side so I can see both. Lays it out in a very nice, easy to work with format. So you come in here, let's see, regular board meeting, view the agenda.
Is this linked from their website?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
I was just curious.
same way it was Bettendorf's, I'm used to Bettendorf, but I wanted to show the policy piece here too. So it lays it out in much the format you're used to in front of you, but if there's an attachment to go with it, it's right here with it. So you're not going scrolling through that big file, finding, oh, where's that file, where's that file? Hey, it's right here. And so again, as you walk through, steps you with each piece that has stuff, again, simple. The goal is to be simple, make it efficient for you guys. The other neat thing that it can do is the search feature. Right now, I imagine you can search in that PDF to an extent, but then maybe not. So everything in here would be full text and searchable, including the policies, which is the important piece I want to get to right now. So if Joy wasn't in the room and I asked, what policy covered purchasing? Anybody know that off the top of their head? Other than Joy.
Well, I do, but
Joy, don't answer
I
this.
do, but it'll cost you.
Yeah, where the nice thing with board docs is anytime there's a question that comes up, you can come in here, I want to search about purchasing. Maybe you're making a new policy about purchasing and you want to see what other districts do. So anybody that uses board docs and their stuff's public, you can also search through their stuff to get some ideas. So if they publish, say, a amended budget, you could find that and see what other schools are paying for things. I will say, probably the one downside of the software is the tag pricing. It's $3,000 a year. That's probably the only downfall to it, but to have everything in a full text searchable indexed format that you again could log into, it would help Joy build the meeting minutes as you go versus trying to type them up after or take notes. She could have them almost done by the time you're done with the meeting. So short and sweet, that was my presentation. Questions? I know I have more over here, but I forgot my notes on the table. So.
This is searchable, because I search.
Searchable. I mean,
No, I mean, this is searchable, we do now, because I search all the time.
it's not the same though, and because that's the problem I'm having now personally is getting some of this content on the website. Like I struggle with that at times of making sure I have everything up there, making sure we have everything up to date. There's multiple versions of files laying around where everything would be in here. You'd have your revision history.
I'm not talking about policies, I'm talking our agenda things. If I want to go back and look something, I go in, I search for it, pops right up. But
Again, depends on how it was done. Some of those things in there, if they were images, they may not be searchable. So,
And in Bo's, I'm not saying Bo's defense, I approach Bo just because for me as a superintendent, and I love having the hard copy of the agenda here, it's hard for me to talk, scroll, and try to be, comprehensible too, of trying to do 3 different things.
yeah, where this lays it out a heck of
And
a
so
lot
I
more
just
like the
asked
table
Bo, I go,
format.
is there anything out there that could just be a little bit more user-friendly? Now, my concern is, I'm not convinced that spending $3,000 a year is worth to do it, okay? But I do want to continue to look to explore, to find new ways to make our board meetings more efficient. And just so, you know how it is too, just trying to find Doc's side. If you're looking at Victor's, doc, you gotta scroll to all through the first consent agenda, all through the policies and get to it and kind of go back and forth. With this,
You
every
you
item
scroll
has
to
a
that
link
action
where
item.
it's right there.
And you just have to click on it.
Click on it right
It was-
there.
Right.
And that part to me is very appealing.
I
Is
think
it-
it would make your meetings more efficient, but for the price is the efficiency.
We have to weigh that.
Yeah.
And that's I got to be in on and watched and of course, the salesman was there and he showed us and talked, and it's wonderful. It would be very nice. Joy, I think, would have,
Yeah, who else does it make more efficient besides us?
It helps with the public too, finding your
This-
meetings
this
after the
woman-
fact, finding the policies
Like, I
after the.
mean, are there efficiencies for Joy in putting the board packet together?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. There's templates in here too, is a nice thing, so you just build off your templates every time. She's not starting from scratch.
It has I can't remember some of the other, it's been a while, but like you said, she could have it almost done, the minutes done for the meeting while she's doing it. She doesn't have to make the notes and do
Yep.
and then put it, it's already all in here. She just does and clicks and,
I think she could basically have the meeting minutes done by the time the meeting's over, which
Yes.
would be a really cool thing.
yes.
What do you think, Joy?
And-
What about putting it together though? I'm talking about saving time.
Oh.
And i.e. money.
Together.
Putting
I think it would, I think it would give some efficiencies in that small
That's like
office.
your finger.
I know, that's why I'm wanting her to respond to my question.
Joy, come on.
Speak freely, come on. To me, bottom line, it's the money. I think it's awful expensive. I like the idea of
I
it.
do too, and I shared those concerns very much with them. I said, you know, guys, typically when we buy software,
Yeah.
being a school, they go by our enrollment or our full-time employees, one of the two, which is a good representation of our size,
Yes.
not just to lump us into a bucket of 1 to 2,000 kids, 0 to 2,000 kids.
Yeah.
I took issue with that. I'm like, you know, I understand you're a software developer, I understand you deserve to make money, but we're a small district too,
Yeah.
so keep us in mind.
A lot of things we do with well, I don't want to speak of JMC, but I believe so, and other things we've used, they just take your student enrollment count, have a multiplier,
Yeah, and that's what
and
you
then
do.
go.
Yeah.
We're lumped with schools up to 2,000
Our
kids.
Microsoft licensing is the same way. It's based on
Right.
full-time employees, which is a good indication for
Yeah,
students
and that's
too.
fine.
And their
And-
subbing software is based off the number of people we enroll in it.
Yeah, so that's been kind of my back and forth with them. I'm like, guys, I like your product, but I don't like your pricing structure, and I've been very blunt about that.
And up
And
front,
they didn't budge.
it's an additional 1,000 to set it up.
Yeah.
So the first year it would be 4.
Okay.
Then after that, it would be 3 each year.
So,
I did have them talk down to 2,500, but we were at the end of a quarter, so that offer's long since expired.
If we approved it in March,
Yeah.
we could have got it, but it would have been a fast, and that's
We
what
would've
they.
had
And I didn't have time to talk to you guys in spring break, and
Yeah.
I knew why it came down. It was the end of a quarter. Nice sales
Right.
guy ploy there,
Yes,
but
yes.
they were willing to do it for life. But I'm like, $500 isn't really.
So yeah, I think it's wonderful, but I don't think I can swallow the cost. I can't, that's a lot
That was
for,
there too.
yes, it'd be nice, but, oh my word, think of all the other things we could do for them.
But was there anything you can glean from this, from the tech side, that could
Yeah.
duplicate some of these?
No, unfortunately, they have built a really good product. Reinventing this wheel might be rather tough.
Is there something we could do better on our website with the policies than the way we're doing it now?
I've been toying some of those ideas, and I can't find some good answers for those questions yet. And that's why I kind of ended up here for now.
because,
I struggled with the website and the policies, and Joy has even struggled internally with how the policies are to work with, I know.
because currently the policies aren't searchable for the public.
Not very well.
And nor are the meeting minutes.
You have to go to the
Subject.
indexes, and just like,
Right, and even just as far back as they go, I mean, it would be nice to upgrade all that for sake of transparency. But-
Yeah, I think that's the other big key is it's always a constant archive. It'll be a better archive too, where I think unfortunately now, not by choice, things get missed. And I don't get them on the website for whatever reason. And this would ensure, since all the content's done in there, there's no missing it. But again, it's that darn price.
And there's nobody else
I haven't found
comparable
anybody yet.
that would be
I
more
have not
reasonable.
found any
Which
yet.
may be
Doesn't
why
mean
their
it's not out
software
there.
is so expensive, because they have an edge on the market at the moment.
Correct.
Unfortunately.
Right.
Maybe, a couple years it won't be so expensive, I don't know.
when's the generic version come out?
Yeah, when, this
Yeah,
is the,
get the Walmart version.
yeah, we need, we don't want the high.
Well, I kind of have a feeling if I keep this conversation going, I might get them back down to say the end of June.
I know,
Well, that's
before-
what I would
well,
actually-
yeah.
Even that $500 would make a difference, but I don't know.
I still personally, I feel like it's worth $2,000 a year. I feel like that number I can handle coming to you with. I don't know about 3,000. I'm on the fence, unfortunately. It is a really good product. I do know from past experience with board members, they really, really liked it.
Mhm.
But again, it's like a different budget there too.
Right.
Yeah, if we were a larger school district, and that would probably be a good,
Yeah,
reasonable amount, but
8 board members too makes a difference over 5. I mean,
True.
Sharing information
True.
and working together and collaborative, so.
Yeah, I just,
And it's up to the board.
Is there a way to
Yeah.
use it
wanna
for
vote
stuff
across
other
it.
than board meetings?
It's pretty much just evaluate.
Okay, I mean,
they,
I just
they
didn't
found their
know.
niche,
Yeah.
and they're,
Okay.
they're getting.
And this is the LT version. They actually make a pro version. It's a good thing you're all sitting down because that was only $5,000 a year. You could also do live meetings from anywhere because I know you all can't be in the same room at the same time with each other. So you could, go to your respective places and vote away from each other if you wanted to pay a few $1,000s
No,
more.
I was gonna
Can you
say,
create avatars for each board?
yeah,
I
yeah.
think so.
Money, hey, if you have money, there's no limit. We can have all kinds of fun things. Fine.
Well, I want Bo to present tonight because he did put time into this.
Yes,
and we
he did.
And ultimately, that's something we can revisit because
Sure,
it's nothing
right.
that has to be approved
No.
tonight. It could be next month, it could be.
I can wait till June 15th and say, hey, I'm really interested, but not with that price and see where I go.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's worth a shot.
Hey, I know how sales works. I'll take it to my advantage here.
You bet.
I'll have Bo keep us in the loop. Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yes, because it was very interesting. I really did
I
like
think
it.
it really would be a good piece of software. Again, it's just the price I can't get over myself. So, thanks for your time, guys.
No,
All right, thank you, Bo.
It was fun to look at and watch. Okay. All right, we will move on then to business financial function. Stacy T.
Number 7 on the list is the taxation fund financials. Any questions or comment over any of the taxation funds? Like I said, the bond construction account will be closed out by, balance should be 0 by June 30th. As well as in the, local option sales tax specific capital projects, that fund will stay open, but the actual, remaining balance after the elementary demolition, that will be gone by the end of June. We'll still have that fund open for all the bankers trust accounts for the revenue bonds.
Refresh my memory, whatever happened with the whole settlement with the last couple of contractors for the damage of the gym floor?
2 of them paid,
Yeah,
2 of them did not, and the balance, the final payment that was due to our construction management company,
mm-hmm.
almost equal what the 2 contractors didn't pay, so they didn't take their final payment.
Okay.
It's a wash.
It's a wash, all right.
So we are done. Okay, good. That was, I wondered about that too.
Still holding checks in the safe for the
Bochet.
The rib
Bochet
cut.
So
disaster,
crazy.
and it's like a $70-some thousand
Yeah.
check.
So what happens if we don't resolve that by,
Well, the check's written off the books.
okay,
It'll be a matter of when they resolve it, I'll have to void that check and make part of it out to Reba, part of that to
Oh,
Bochet,
okay.
but no one's telling us yet
okay.
what that split's going to be.
That could be
And
years from now.
each of them say, if you pay this company, right now the check's written out to both, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
If you pay this company the final payment, then we're gonna sue you. If you pay this company the final payment, then we're gonna sue you. How we got in the middle of this, I don't know. And then, so we just wrote the check out to both and it's in safe. And actually, one of the vendors, is it Reba or Bochet that calls almost monthly wanting to know if that check's still sitting in the safe.
Yeah, why
it's
don't you do
Reba
something
wanting to
about
make sure that we haven't given it to both.
Yeah,
Bochet
take
and
care
Reba.
of it.
And then the $15,000 payment, final payment to Woodruff is still sitting in the safe because they redid that painting for the, was that during the holiday break, I think? Did that painting and we're waiting for that. Which I don't know if Joe has any,
For the what, for the ceiling?
the painting that they redid,
No,
yeah,
we're still waiting.
to see if it comes
Decide
back
what
through or
they're
not.
gonna do.
Did they not come back and redo that?
They just painted a little piece to see if it was
Okay.
gonna hold up, and it isn't.
And it
So-
isn't? Okay, well, we still
So
have that
hopefully there's
$15,000
something they come
check.
back, but they gotta do the gym and the cafeteria roof.
So we still have that $15,000 check sitting until they say that that's taken care of.
They gotta, they're gonna spend a lot more than $15,000 to redo it though.
That's their own fault.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway.
but those 2 funding sources should be zeroed out with projects for finishing up spending that on. couple in debt. Any questions or comments on any of those taxation funds? Number 8 in the sequence is the instructional support program. The revenues at the top of the page. Our budget expenditures for this year in the middle, and what we've spent to date at the bottom. And then the top of the second page has our remaining balance. And once again, we will spend that down to 0 by June 30th. Any questions or comments on ISP? Number 9 is the self-insurance fund, ending the month of March. And at the bottom is the account balance summary. Lower left-hand corner has the fund breakdown by medical, dental, and vision, and then the investment breakdown to the right. So we're actually doing a little better in dental than I anticipated, which is why we didn't increase the rates for next year. And vision, we're increased our benefits last year, trying to spend that balance down some, and our rates were really low, because that over the years just continued to build up. Our benefits were low, so there wasn't a lot being paid out of there. So any questions or comments on the self-insurance fund? Number 10, latchkey. Top of the first page, or top of the page has the program usage.
I know, there's no totals.
No, well, she fixed it and changed it and resent it to Joy, and she apparently blocked that out, because it actually went down. It's
Yeah, I
like,
can see it's like, I'm just doing 30, 42, 57,
57.
yeah.
It's 57, and it went down, from February to March, so, you'll have to get that from her and have that.
Well, I hope we can add it up.
But she's had a family drop out and a few people switch around, but our revenues are still above our expenditures.
Yeah.
And we hit the $40,000 mark for an ending balance, this month, so.
Good.
And she did order a few things that will be reflected in the April, financials, to like, update some of the toys, some of the beanbag chairs and things like that. She asked if she could spend some money. Absolutely, you have plenty of money there to spend. So, so we're still good with the finances there. And then 11 would be the vendor total reports for everything but payroll for Latchkey. As you can see, they don't spend a lot of money besides payroll. 12 is the comparison report for the quarter, comparing 2017 to 18 for January, February, and March. So as far as attendance, every month is higher in 18 than in 17. 13, nutrition fund report with lunch and breakfast usage at the top of the page for the month total and year-to-date for the school year. And second page, the financials through the month of March. And as usual, that balance will be climbing here towards the end of the year, and then in June, they pay 3 months of salaries to pay off contracts for June, July, and August. Any questions or comments? 14 is the period vendor report for nutrition fund. Once again, everything but payroll. 15. Whoa. Activity fund. So some of the negatives, once the were zeroed out or put into the positive by the winter concessions. So Mr. Snavely with Terry have been very good about getting groups that need money to work the concession stands. So Joy went through and did all the dividing of the winter concessions, and I don't think there are any negatives except for the spring and summer concessions, which are those fees that we paid, and and spring concession startup in there. So robotics got out of the negative, drama speech got out of the negative. And you can see on on the right-hand side, the music and athletic summaries for all of those accounts. So we have an extremely healthy activity fund.
Good.
Second page, FFA Enterprise Fund, which is the farm, hogs, sheep, and greenhouse, and then our flex benefit plan that we keep on in our local bank instead of the insurance company, and then the agency fund accounts, which are accounts that Joy does all the accounting for, but the school does not owe any money. Any questions or comments on any of those? And then 16 would be the respective period vendor report for all of those funds. Trap team spends a lot of money, but they make a lot of money.
Wow. It's a lot of ammunition.
Any questions or comments? Co-curricular driving. Joy pointed out she thinks this might be the first co-curricular driving report she's ever done that doesn't have a sport on it because track meet got canceled over spring break.
Yeah.
So it's all classroom, and the other that will be entirely reimbursed, the driver's cost with payroll taxes and the
Yeah,
bus mileage.
that's right.
So, no athletics this month. And number 18 is the extra payroll report. Anything that is on a contract that's requested for payment is on this report. Any questions on any of the extra payroll? 19 be the board bills for the month of April. First several pages, general fund, we still have some lengthy BMO invoices there from the Townsend orders. Wrapping those up. And on page 8 you can see the total for general fund, fund number 10. And then fund number 31, spending some of that bond construction money that's left over on the elementary building. And fund 33 on the top of page 9, which is our 1-cent sales tax. Any questions on any of the board bills presented for payment?
Motion to approve the bills.
Second?
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Actually, I forgot page 19,
Thank-
this bill
I
just came
saw it.
today.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
introduce, but
Yep.
it was in,
Yeah, I thought, so that was included in my motion.
So we added it today because we didn't think we should hold on to an $8,000 bill for next month
No.
at that point.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Stacy. Move on to administrative reports. Elementary, please, Mrs. Austin.
On my list is a thank you to the board and the Townsend Foundation for supporting our trip to Boston. The ASCD convention, as always, was very well received. We had a lot of good speakers. I have lots of information if anybody wants to see. At the elementary, what we did for accountability purposes is each teacher was to share 2 things with 2 teachers when they came back. It's hard for us to present full group, because if you're not interested in that or that doesn't pertain to you, it's, you know, it just kind of drags out.
Yeah.
So we decided it's better to match them up a little bit. So, but it was a great time, great. The keynotes were unbelievable. It's really well done. Fine Arts Guild, speaking of well done, sponsored our Des Moines Metro Opera, Jack and the Beanstalk. And the 5th and 6th graders got to meet all the actors a little more personally when they did the workshops for them. That's always really cool. Really neat thing that the community does for us. 4th graders finished band recruitment. Unity Clinic and 6th graders just completed their draw the line. It's about making good choices and limits and refusal skills. It's kind of an important lead up for those 6th graders. Science Club, they're getting ready to build cardboard boats if it ever gets warm enough for them to get outside. Twitter, Wednesday is Love My School Day, hashtag across the nation. So our elementary Twitter account, I think, will probably blow up because all the teachers get a jeans day if they tweet something about love their school. So it's gonna be great. Katie Meyer, you'll see on your hires, we're excited to welcome her to our staff. She is a current 1st grade teacher in Adel and from Durant and is getting married this summer, coming back here. Very happy to have her join us. And the final thing on my report is a list of all of our junior achievement partners. And you can see it's quite a big group from the community that comes in and they help us with our financial skills and 21st century skills, and they do hands-on things with it's a set curriculum. But it's really nice to get to know them and have them come in and talk to our kids. And that's all done in the spring. Any questions?
Nope.
That's us
Good,
at the
that's
elementary.
good. Thank you, Mrs. Austin. All right, Mr. Snavely.
I would just echo what Mrs. Austin said about the Boston trip. Our 3 keynotes were fantastic, and Dr. Joe Biden, Manny Scott, who we found out last week, he's booked for the entire next year. So we thought it'd be really cool to have him come, but then we found out that we might have to wait a few years. And then retired General Colin Powell was also there.
Cool.
So it very good. And then the breakouts, everybody kind of went their own separate way, and it was really neat to see all the different things. We're going to share out on Wednesday morning with that. I had a couple of teachers that showed up in Hawaiian shirts this morning, basically, and one of our sessions they talked a lot about how sometimes we look at Monday like as kind of a negative. So they did
Yeah.
Maui Monday and had Hawaiian shirts on today, and we've kind of talked about doing that as a staff, to every day is valuable and not to kind of look at Monday as a drag and Friday as kind of the high point, which we sometimes get guilty of doing, I guess. So that was just a great conference overall. I did highlight in here that we did have our first career fair. You probably saw some information about that in the newspaper. We had 15 businesses, area businesses, and the Wilton Development Corporation did a nice job with pulling that together. That's something we'll continue into the future. We did 3 tours this year with the Wilton Development Corporation, getting our students out to see not only careers in our community, but types of jobs that they could choose to do later on. So that's been a nice partnership, working with our community leaders and doing that. So I won't highlight everything on my board report, but the North American Band Tour, they leave a Wednesday night. So they were all in the office this morning signing up and getting excited for all the things that are coming up with them in the next week. So that's on actually the junior senior high tour report. Does anybody have questions about anything I highlighted before I go to the athletic side?
So Mr. Snavely, he has some more hires than Mrs. Austin did, and I said, I don't know, you wanna flip to, just tell about your hires? I mean,
Yeah.
that's under the informational section, but are you guys getting, I try to forward
Yeah.
that way you're in the loop right away.
Yes, thank you.
So as soon as I returned from Boston, I immediately went to getting the interviews all set up and going through and screening, and we're blessed. We had a pool of candidates for all 3 positions that were very good. So we did interview 4 for each position. I'm sorry, 3 for the science, 4 for the other 2. 2 of the science people actually accepted jobs after I had set up interviews with them, basically, because I set them up before spring break or during spring break, and then we couldn't interview because of spring break, and then we
Yes.
lost 2 of them. But that tells me we had the right people at the table. So we ended up only interviewing 3 for science and 4 for the other 2. But just last week was a busy week. Ben Gost was hired for high school business. He's currently at Liberty High School, spent the last 19 years in the Iowa City District, lives right in our back door in Uray with his family. So that was a great hire. He's a great guy. That'd be nice. Jacob Kaufman, junior high science, he graduated from here in '08.
Mhm.
You guys probably remember him. I met him for the first time on a virtual interview, which was interesting. Doing it, over a Google Hangout. He ended up having to leave his apartment and go outside under a tree because we were losing reception, so we finally got it in throughout all that. But he's currently in Arizona at a middle school teaching science, and he's just really excited to come home. He and his
Yeah.
wife, he and his wife will be moving back in this area and finishing up the year. He's coaching track right now, so his life's kind of busy. You guys know Jacob, so
Mhm.
you guys all remember him then probably?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a year younger than my children, yep.
And Kylie Erickson, just this morning accepted the job for vocal music. She is from Iowa City, went to Iowa City West, student taught at Cedar Rapids, Washington, and Vernon Middle School in Marion. Graduated in December. Right now, she's just subbing. You know how that is when you graduate in December and just stay busy. So just a very dynamic person that's going to bring a lot. And I guess it'll be a whole different thing bringing a new person
Yeah.
in that position, but that'll be good. So we had 3 exceptional hires. I'm very happy with where we ended up last week
Good.
and into this week. So on Thursday, we will interview for the media center manager position. So that'll be on Thursday. So we have 4 interviews for that as well. So that's it with the hire.
Kudos, Mr. Snake, that was a big
Yes.
week last week.
Yeah,
Well, this makes the paper not, I don't know if it should, but what's interesting, one of our hires came from the brand new high school, Liberty High School,
yeah.
North Liberty. And other people that we interviewed were from bigger schools too. So I think that speaks pretty loudly to me. Typically, it's kind of the drain the other way, where small school people try to get in the bigger ponds. The last couple of years, we've had really high quality candidates in the bigger ponds wanting to come to Wilton. So, good deal. Good work.
Thank you. And then the athletic side, if there's no further questions, right now we're just fighting the weather. We've had a lot of cancellations.
It's horrible.
I should be sitting out at a home track meet right now, but I'm not. That was canceled obviously on Friday just because we knew what today was gonna bring. So hopefully tomorrow, we have golf and track tomorrow night, so hopefully we can resume and get things rolling there. So I just listed kind of our participation numbers for the spring on that. The Hobbit was last Thursday and Friday, if you had a chance to make it out for that, that was good. Other than that, we're just getting ready for, summer sports are just around the corner, and senior awards night and graduation is coming up. So right now, it's just that time of the year where there's lots of things going on and lots of things wrapping up, so.
Hey, under his report, it made me think of this, and Joy was going to remind me if I forgot, but if any of you want to sign any particular diplomas,
Oh, yes.
we couldn't think of anyone had any relatives or special ones, but I'm mentioning that to you now. Jill put a bug in our ear. Those will be passed around first part of May.
Okay.
All right, very good.
Thank you very much. All right. We will move on to action items, consent agenda number 1.
All right. There's two job descriptions this month, one being the elementary media center manager and the second one being senior high media manager. Both our current ones looked at them and gave me tweaks on what's changed or whatnot, just minor verbiage pieces. I was joking with Leslie, it's timely by us hiring a new media manager that our current job description's updated like
I
the week
know.
before.
Oh,
So that worked out pretty
fun.
well,
yes.
but I don't know, just look at them and if you have any questions. It's amazing how, to me, of all the roles in school, how the media center manager's position has been evolving throughout the years. If you think back even just, 10 or 12 years ago, what a librarian was, to how much the technology plays into it and just what they do on a day-to-day basis. Just look at how the library's changed. It used to be a computer lab, used to have more, so it's in flux. So, we still share a media specialist, that was one of Governor Culver's wife initiative, of having a media specialist hired in every district in Iowa.
Mhm.
Duran has a retired one that we both use to sign off, just as an FYI. So, anyway, any questions on those job descriptions? You know, the infamous statement at the end is how it says the statements contained here and describe the scope of the responsibility. Basically, other duties to be assigned.
Yeah.
So, that could be the job
I
description,
love,
is that paragraph.
yeah, I love it.
So that's it?
Make a motion to approve consent agenda number 1.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda 2.
Yeah, policy fund, okay. On 4 of the policies, and we're gonna see this a lot over the next few years when we go through this, the last sentence in a lot of policies, and if we go to pull up 408.1 right now,
Master contract.
between
it no
employees,
longer exists in
certified
there.
collective bargaining unit.
So my recommendation is going to be moving forward, just always strike that line,
Yep.
because it goes in the handbook, and ultimately, here's the thing, one board policy can't trump another board policy, so it's redundant by saying, follow what's in the certified. Why do you need to do that? It's already in the handbook,
Right.
so it's
Right.
redundant. So, if the board's okay, my recommendation to you, each,
Mhm.
and there's 4 policies that have that, 408.1, 409.1, 409.2, and 409.3, of striking the last line, it's the exact same line.
Yep, because that's the exact same line as in
And you're
each
going to
one.
see that, I'm
Yep,
guessing quite a bit over the next few years as we go
Correct.
through here.
yep.
That being said,
Time to read it.
anything else with the policies? I really don't have any other tweaks. I was asked this by Rob, we had a conversation following the March board meeting about, you know, let's say the FFA puts a patent on what they designed. You know,
Oh, yeah.
whose property is that? Talks about that with 408.2. Says license, employee publication, or creation of material, so it's right there. Anything created at school property, or whatnot.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Very timely. It's gonna
Yes.
fall into
kinda,
place.
Yeah.
Talks about tutoring in here. You know, teachers cannot tutor students that are under their direct supervision, you know, or whatnot. And anyone that does want to tutor needs to get approved to do that as well. You know, certainly, it's not a positive practice, and I certainly would not approve of a teacher tutoring their own students. You know, it's what they're paid to do. But I do know, as a former teacher, I was a math teacher, and kids that I had in 7th or 8th grade, if they were in high school and struggled, I was approached by parents and said, hey, my son needs some help with geometry, would you want to help? You know, and in those cases,
That's fine.
yeah, if they approach it, and it's outside the regular hours, can't, you know, but I have no problem with outside regular hours. I'm just using an example, Mr. Putman wants to work with some kids that are parents that approach him to work with some high school kids. Anyway, some pertinent and interesting policies this month, but those are the only tweaks I suggest. I don't know how you, if you want to, like I said, I'll list it again, 408.1, 409.1, 409.2, and 409.3. My recommendation is to strike the last line in each one of those policies.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Did I miss something, Tony?
Well, no, I just,
The last, that 409.3, all of those, that deals with the Family Medical Leave Act. That's standard.
okay.
I have no
Yeah.
recommendations on those.
I don't think
What's
there's anything-
409.1?
Well, maybe I
We're back-
don't have
we're back-
409.3. Did I make a mistake and we don't need that one? No, we do.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, you
okay.
It's licensed
I just
employee
was like,
family medical
okay,
leave.
vacations,
Same thing.
okay, yeah, all right.
It's when they get into the E1s, E2s,
Yeah,
and
okay,
3s.
I was just like,
All those.
okay, you're right, you're fine.
I'll move to approve consent agenda number 2 with the noted changes.
Second?
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Uh,
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, Consent agenda 3.
Letter A is our 18-19 latchkey handbook. The only changes are just the dates.
Okay.
Discussed this with Anna Wayne, the director, and she says there's really no changes in policy or, recommended handbook changes, just the calendar and the dates.
Okay, that page, what is it, almost the last page? That has kind of like the calendar,
Yep.
the dates and when they're open and when there's break and all that kind of stuff. First day of school.
Exactly,
we've had
which
to.
now is, yep. So that should all be in line.
One time was the only one, but sometimes.
And fees are the same, there's no
Okay.
change in fees. A lot of times in the past, when Lori Peterson now, and
Mhm.
would come to the board if they wanted to change the fee
Mhm.
structure.
Oh, and then summer program breakfast. Sacramento Friday. So that's in yellow, I figured that might be a new thing, and so, oh no, remember that?
I guess just so it draws it down.
And that, yes,
Brings attention.
revised
Same thing with the
April
cleaning.
2018 latchkey cleaning, when the dates are gonna be, okay.
Any questions on the latchkey handbook? Can I move to letter B?
Mhm.
Letter B is the JCL estimated budget for fiscal year 19. Stacy can talk a little bit about that. We've had a history of, that's,
Mhm.
I think, well used, Mr. Dutch Avers' position. And you can see the breakdown there. In the past, correct me if I'm wrong, Stacy, used to be 60-40, where JCS picked up 60 and Wilton picked up 40, but that changed a couple years ago.
Started that way, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's been 50-50 for, I bet this is the 4th year, if not more.
Yeah, so,
And of course, we set salaries already, so that's his actual salary with his bonus that I built in there,
Oh, yep.
so.
All right.
so, any questions on that? I'll tell you what, I value that position.
Yeah.
That's something they don't have next door that I talk to them about. We get a lot of, that person is a very good liaison for anything court-related. Unfortunately, some kids that have those situations, Letter C, D, E, letter C, I guess we'll just start with that. There's operational sharing agreement with Durant to continue the transportation director's position as we're doing this year.
Mhm.
I don't know, you can take a look at the verbiage there.
And then this doesn't have any salary info like we usually have, because they're approving that tonight, but they said it was gonna be the 3% package that I had presented in the
Okay.
salary data.
So, any questions on that? The one note I do want to make is we are, for lack of a better phrase, suspending sharing the counseling position back and forth. Okay? Currently, we had an agreement where we had 80% of the contract, we had 20%. Each district got the 3.0 weighting for each student, or for 3.0
For the-
students for that contract. In working with them, I think we just really need to look at, and I think it can be something that can be picked up next year, particularly with having one person oversee both of them. That's just, it never really took off the way
Okay.
we would have liked to have seen it done. And if I were to stand in front of the state board and say, was this done with fidelity, and, it being 20%, they should technically be there 1 day a week. Now, we share students, and, they talk about scheduling and stuff daily, but I just don't feel comfortable with the way we're doing it currently. And so when I talked to them, I said, well, let's suspend it for a year, and let's use next year to see if we can reinstate this, because that does save each district money, and, but it needs to be done the intent of the law and the spirit of it, and I just didn't feel like it was. So, but that will cost us some money next year, but I've had conversations with Stacy, if you get it audited and they come out and they say, well, you're not using this the way it is, you have to give back the money, and, that's certainly egg on your face too. That being said, there's still talk at the state level with operational sharing that hasn't been approved yet. Let's include that social worker position. And that may be something, if, as soon as that goes through, yay or nay, I would like to come to the board and do a sharing agreement with them. So they're talking a 3.0 waiting for that. So we may not have a drop in any funding, so to
Okay.
speak.
Right.
But I would anticipate if we do that being a 50-50 split versus, the 80-20. I know they have a need for that as well over there.
So they're just not getting enough value out of the 20%. Is that kind of what it comes down to? Like it's not enough time to really have an impact.
Exactly,
Okay.
at one day a week.
Sure.
You know, and again, it's not like Mr. Patterson had office hours over there Tuesday, Thursday from 8 to noon, or,
Mhm.
you know, transportation, it's great. I mean, he's truly 50/50.
Mhm.
As a
Yes.
superintendent, it's truly
Yeah.
Yes,
the time, and
yes,
I think with the social worker, we can make it that way too. It's just,
Mhm.
yeah.
I will say this, though, I know that, I don't know, when districts are in a pinch, I don't know how much they do certain things with Fidelity, but the max is 21 students.
Mhm.
Okay, with all the positions, you can't exceed 21. Gosh, years ago, that was higher than that. Stacy, you may remember, I don't, but it was, I think you could go up to 40 students. But there weren't enough positions to share, but that was the ceiling on it that they put, but they drew it back. So,
Okay.
are there questions on any of that? I know that goes off a side tangent, but I wanted you to be aware of what's working behind the scenes on that. So, that's letter C with the transportation director. Letter D is the calendar as discussed.
Mhm.
Letter E, F, G, and H. Wilton Durant, vocational business, vocational ed, and then the business ones, those are the ones being taught in Wilton. And then G and H, you know, when Durant's listed first, those are the classes taught in Durant. So that's
Gotcha.
continue those agreements for next year as well. Letter I was approached, Mr. Bean met with me on Thursday, so if this feels like it's kind of short turnaround, it's because I have met with Mr. Bean on Thursday. Years past, when Ms. Paper was here, part of being the NHS advisor, I was just attached to her counseling piece. Okay, and when Ms. Paper retired and Tim took that on, Mr. Bean, he jump-started that program and does a lot of things outside what used to be. Okay, and our salary schedule B, which I had Joy put in here, we have a small stipend for high school student council, junior high student council, a lot of different activities, and NHS is not listed anywhere in there. Okay, and Tim just asked me why, and I'll be perfectly blunt. I did not know NHS was not listed, and honestly, shame on me, I don't go through each position and crosswalk where they would be on the salary schedules. I mean, that's just the way it's always been, and that law of inertia. And so, I spoke with Joe Hewitt. You know, it's a handbook situation. So the good news now, because we're in a handbook versus something being negotiated, we can make tweaks, or I can make a recommendation for the board to make a tweak. And I'm coming to you tonight, I did speak with Joe Hewitt about this, because I think it's good practice. If I'm gonna make a recommendation to the board to tweak something in the handbook, they have an awareness. That being said, my recommendation to the board tonight is to add NHS to salary schedule B under the same column. I'd say the base generator at 2.31%. Tim's got 3 years' experience, so my recommendation you would see at the next board meeting under hirings, if you approve adding NHS to it, would be at step 4, $806. He's earned it, he's done it for 3 years, he's being 4th next year. So, it's a long story, but I strongly believe Tim does a good job, and I think someone for us to do NHS stuff outside school hours and whatnot should be compensated just like these other groups are.
Sure.
So that's why you'll see letter I on there. Are there any questions with that?
No, I'm glad he came.
I am too, and honestly, I said, Tim,
I missed, I mean, yeah.
So, I told him I'd bring it to the board tonight. I felt strongly I should. So, letter J is Spanish and 6th grade math curriculum purchases for fiscal year 19. You can see that's on the next page past the, the schedule, sorry, schedule B. And, Mr. Meyer briefly talked about this at the last board meeting, that these would be coming. And you can see there the total curriculum purchase, I'm just going the bottom line, of $48,146 and 58 cents. That combines the Spanish and the 6th grade mathematics.
Wait a minute.
Nope,
No, 35 is the 35,380, 35.
forgive me.
Yeah.
The
Yes,
total
the
curriculum
total.
is 48, what's being approved tonight is
Is all
35,380,
Right.
35.
So that was good.
Correct.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
That's probably one of the second things, or another list of things that's changed a lot in the last 10 years, is just everything available online versus the hard textbooks too.
Oh, yeah.
as a sign of the times. I believe,
That is-
is there anything else?
No, under consent.
That's
three,
it
no?
under consent agenda number 3. And isn't it interesting, we had a long list of things we approved just 2 weeks ago at our special meeting that would have been a part of this meeting tonight, had we not had
Yep.
that special meeting, so.
Yep.
I joked with
Okay.
Joey after we had our special meeting, well, maybe April will be kinda short.
No.
No.
It's okay.
Yep,
All right, so that was consent agenda 3.
Motion to approve consent agenda number 3.
Second?
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
okay, under individual consent, we already approved the boiler bids.
Yep.
Stacy talked a little bit about the GO bond additional levy in her presentation. And she has what the motion needs to be stated as to make that be legal.
And it's a roll call vote.
Yep.
All right.
It's a resolution,
Yep.
same formalities that we went through last year.
Okay.
I don't know, Stacy, you want anything additional from what you said at our,
This is just so we can levy the additional 200K, and of course, legal people have to get in on the deal.
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to approve a resolution authorizing the redemption of general obligation school bonds series 2014 dated June 2nd, 2014, approving a first amendment to escrow and amended and substituted paying agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent agreement, and levying a tax for fiscal year 2018-19 for the redemption of general obligation school bonds series 2014 dated June 2nd, 2014. Hmm?
I need a.
Oh, I second.
Okay. Tara. All right.
Linda Duncan.
Yes.
Tony Bird.
Yes.
Rob Metzen.
Yes.
And Tara Wine.
Yes.
All right.
very good. And number 3 is just the
Budget.
fiscal year 2019 budget as presented.
Motion to approve the 2019 budget.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Very good. Under information discussion committee items, you can see, we already talked about the 4 hires. You can see what their breakdown is in terms of placement on the salary schedule. Letter B under maintenance. Joe, is there anything to mention? It was interesting this morning. I don't know, I know I'm aging myself and I don't recall everything correctly, but I wake up at 5:30 on these days when there's bad weather just to see what's going on out there. I don't know if I've ever gotten up at 5:30 on April 9th before to see if we're going to 2 hour delay. But shortly after that, I got a phone call from Joe, and I thought he was calling me, talk to me about like something weather related. He goes, no, we've got a problem down in the cafeteria. One of the lines has a hole in it, and so they were leaking water in the cafeteria and the serving line on the east side.
Oh, great.
Basically. So I had to shut that down, didn't have any heat for breakfast. There was water running down there, you got the water shut off, but you got Irvin's up here, and they got a patch on it, and they'll fix it over the summer, but. So, it was kind of a crazy day. But,
It's almost 3 years old.
Yeah, it's almost 3 years.
Yeah. we're in.
We already
That's
had a
right.
hole in water. What happened, we ended up with a hole in the half-inch water line that feeds from the boiler. I came in and the ceiling had water in one light, I had
Oh,
drips
my.
and stuff all over the ceiling, this isn't good. So, we got her, and of course it's 25 feet in the air, so.
Right, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's-
Water and light,
Through the
overhead lights is
ceiling
never a
with
good thing,
ladder.
Joe. Yeah.
We've got hold of the insurance company and all that, so Joe got to come start with after I got it, to let him have a little fun.
So, no, Mondays and Fridays, I joke with Mr. Snavely,
I was gonna
are our
say.
most popular days. Anything else, Joe, under maintenance?
Gonna be a real busy summer. We've got, but we got bids all approved for our paintings and our floors and lots, and as soon as I can get the boiler shut off, so if somebody would flip the switch to spring,
Yeah.
shut the boilers off, and then I can get people in here, Crawford's they're gonna be doing the work. And I told them as soon as I can get them in, I'll get somebody in there to get the little bit of asbestos we gotta get out, and then they're gonna start ripping boilers out.
We'll do that before school ends, huh?
Because we can do that, it's not gonna affect me,
Mhm.
but they would like to get in here as quick as they can, so. If we can just shut them off, we'll be good. setting, getting the, for the track meets, I've gotta turn the water on out there. Well, I can't turn that on until we get it warm enough. You know, because if you turn water on and it freezes, and
That's not
one
good.
line, the
That
biggest
leads to
problem
water
in-
and lights overhead.
Inside the building isn't so bad, but where the water comes on, you turn it on in the yard, right next to ours, and that comes up in a 5-gallon, or a big 50-gallon barrel that was buried there, that where the line comes up, but you have this much exposed line. So if that's full of water and it gets below freezing and it freezes, then I'm gonna have water shooting out of that, and then we'll be, so we're hoping for some warm weather so we can
Yeah.
get
Didn't
stuff
think of that.
turned on, so. But other than that, yeah, we'll.
Yeah, the track meets our kids have gone to, Mr. Snavely told me they've brought porta potties in, because you can't have the water on, but you know, you have to have the
Yeah,
restrooms.
yeah.
So
Yes,
it's crazy.
yes.
So we
Anything-
actually have gotten a couple track meets in.
The boys that get, they were able to get one and girls
Yeah.
haven't run yet.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
And boys ran Tipton Monday,
Yeah.
or was it last,
Last
Thursday.
Tuesday.
Thursday.
Last week,
Yeah.
someday last
Yeah.
week?
Thursday, I believe.
Yeah. Anything pool board? Oh, go, Joe.
No, I was gonna say just one other thing, which you guys won't know, because it stays light out now, but the light right out here, these two big lights, the city has, we put those other type of lights on, and it's brightened it up out there considerably, so it's helped a lot. You go up there in the dark, it's quite a bit brighter, so when we get people at night coming in and out of there, it's gonna be quite a bit better.
Good.
And they're cheaper on, because they're LED, so they're cheaper to run too.
Good. Well, pool board meeting's Wednesday, of course.
Yeah, okay, so you got that coming up. Legislatively, you know, it's amazing to me, even if one party's in power, how they still can't get it done within the time frame. It
Yeah.
doesn't sound like they're going to either, so there could be an extended session when there's literally no opposition politically.
Uh-huh.
So we're waiting on that. Goodwill, Teacher Appreciation Week's coming up in May. I usually get them, you know, fruit tray or whatnot, but be thinking if the board, I know in years past, it was something just as simple as a piece of paper everybody signed and made copies and put like a, you know, Snickers or something. That's up to you.
Remind me, please.
Okay.
I'm sure, I think I'm on the Goodwill. Who's on the Goodwill with me? Tara?
Me.
All right. That's
So
fine.
be thinking if there's just
Let's-
something, I don't know.
I just get caught up in life and forget.
Miscellaneous, our safety committees, or committee has been meeting, and we've got drills coming up this week for fire, tornado, lockdown. We're having actually a large all-staff meeting on Wednesday morning, talk about our drills and just, again, making sure we're as prepared as we can be.
We had conversations with Sharon, yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Dutchaver,
Okay.
I think he even went over there. He told me he talked
Last
to her.
week, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, so, you
Good.
know, talking to the community center, library, you know, if they want to in on the training that we're doing. 2 of our staff members are becoming Alice trained, this summer. Mr. Dutchaver and Mrs. Owens in the elementary, so we'll have 1 licensed trainer in each building. So, otherwise, April work session is the 25th at 5. We have our SIAC meeting at 6. That's also the night of Fantastic. I don't know what time that starts. I think it's 7. So, if you want to attend the SIAC meeting but have to leave early, go to Fantastic, I'll slip over there after we're done with that. But so that's kind of a big night. And then our next regular meeting is Monday, the 14th of May, which is about as late as it gets for a second Monday at 5:30.
Okay.
And as strange as it seems, with the feel, 6 weeks from Wednesday is our last day of school.
Oh, my.
It's crazy.
So,
6 weeks.
a lot of ground to cover in the next 6 weeks. We're gonna go from
Yeah,
running the boilers to people complaining that we don't have air conditioning throughout the
I know.
building.
I know. We'll get there.
So that's all I have.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very